In the world of KSP combat, the battle between sword and shield has been definitively and ultimately won by the sword. Despite all of the advancements in materials and construction techniques, the sheer kinetic force offered by weaponry means defending yourself is an almost impossible task. There is no setup or configuration that can offer complete cover to your ships. Wait. What? It can often seem this way when testing your defensive configurations, only to have them get utterly owned by even your own mid-range weapons. However, given a little knowledge, this aspect of stock warfare can truly sim for you. In this episode, we'll look at our options for avoiding instant death in detail. Welcome to the tutorial. Let's get fighting. Defending yourself in stock warfare takes one of two forms. Either have a hull tough enough to tank the impact, or don't be there when the round hits. While the latter of the two is often more successful, it has a few issues related to it, which we'll cover later on. For now, just know that good hull construction is all but mandatory if you want to fly anything tougher than rice paper. As we covered in the last video, the materials in KSP are analogous to hurling rocks at each other and defending yourself with cardboard. This is due to the nature of the parts themselves. They were never designed to accomplish anything close to what we're asking of them. However, if you apply a few tricks to your construction, you can disperse force efficiently enough to have effective armor. There's just one problem: frame rate. Having more than 250 parts rendered at once begins to cause lag as a fundamental part of how KSP physics work. While this is hardly noticeable at first, it quickly becomes a large issue as you move past 500 or so. Seeing as most patrol ship class spacecraft start completed around 600, it becomes apparent that part count savings can make all the difference to your sanity. In addition, having additional controllable craft within the 2.5 kilometers render distance splits processing power further, so it remains important that any weapons you use have their control points and root parts destroyed on impact. There is one exception to this, a part that causes less than half the part lag of all others. A part that is possibly the crux of all stock warfare, the duct tape that binds our universe together. The strut. Drop the bass on that. Struts connect disparate parts to one another as though they were an additional root part. If the strut is impacted directly, or if a coupling between the two is undone, the strut will vanish along with its holding force. These properties are used literally all over the place in stock craft to help them retain structural integrity. The same can be said for armor plating, and with this increase in total affected area, you receive an accompanying increase in energy dissipation. The simplest and most common method to accomplish this is to build the hull as short strips, interlinked by struts between the layers. As a rule of thumb, one should avoid more than 3 hull pieces attached away from the structure, as it minimizes the needed struts, while also ensuring there are no gaps in your superstructure large enough to cause problems. You can always add ribs to the design to strengthen the hull, and the accompanying stability in the firing platform should be immediately noticeable. Another technique often used is multi-layer setups. Most often, this is an inner layer of structural panel and an outer aeroplate skin. The only theoretical limit on hull layers is computer performance, but for the sake of playability, try to keep it to 2 layers, 3 at most. When building these setups, it is important to strut the layers together as well. Parallel surfaces moving in the same general space causes the physics engine to just give up at trying to accurately render at that location. Most often, this results in incoming fire ghosting right through the hull like it wasn't even there. A good compromise is to up-armor the cockpit or bridge, and the main fuel reserve, and to strut web the rest more comprehensively than the armored sections. Not only will this tactic preserve frames, but it will also provide a noticeable agility boost as you reduce the overall weight. A good portion of you have tuned out the last 2 paragraphs, because you hadn't thought, just don't be there, idiot, and started imagining the various ways to do this instead. There's a point to be had, there. Let's take a look at why they're right and wrong. Speed is the king of defense in KSP combat, hands down. Even guided weapons have a hard time coping with evasive maneuvers at speed, and fast interceptors can be made cheaply, with lots of room for over-engineering as a side benefit. Speed tanks tend to also be capable of jumps of up to 3 planets or more, simply as a result of the massive fuel reserves required to maintain their increased combat speeds. These craft are neat. They're fun to fly. They all have the same huge hole in their design, and it's unfixable. You have to build the whole ship around the strategy. Hull armor has to be thin or non-existent, otherwise turning would get hard quick. Weapons have to be lightweight, or the same problems occur. Engines are usually extremely oversized, meaning maneuvering at combat speeds is difficult. Electrical demand and RCS use go up at exponential rates alongside tonnage. What you end up with is a glass cannon, with an emphasis on the glass part. Why would anyone ever choose to fly these cheap, fragile things? I said it earlier, but I hid it in the sentence. They're just plain fun. Oh my god, are they ever satisfying? An interceptor that can reach you all the way out there, that moves so fast its weapon is just the weight it releases as it passes by. Sign me right the hell up. Joyriding one of these into battle is one of the most gratifying experiences in the game, and the total effectiveness of the craft remains an okay, if not ideal, spread for their mass and part count. However, you should always remember Rule 0. It's only a game. Fun is the point. Sometimes winning is fun, sometimes just playing is its own reward. Speed might be king of defense, but asteroids are the gods themselves. They are immortal objects, they have large coverage areas, and they are insanely massive. Using one as a shield is the true pinnacle of defensive technology. Even though the physics system favors weapons in the damage trade, hopefully this video has given you a primer on how to get your ships both stable and tough to hurt. Next time, we'll look at logistics, and how even the most boring thing you can think of can be more heart-pounding than being sucked into a vacuum. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the war.